Luke, you good? Joe? Karen, good? Okay. Good evening. It's time to call the January 20th, 2026 Wirt County Board of Education meeting to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight I'm going to ask Mr. Lowe if he'll lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Okay, need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, under the agenda, I cannot see anything on the first page. Under personnel, number 4 on the second page, we have a new one, Jennifer McAllister, beginning teacher mentor of foreign language at Wirt County High School. And then under number 1, under new business, okay, it states to revise the January 6, 2026 motion to approve Jamie Vanoy's. I looked this up, did a little research, see how we needed to do this legally. So the motion will be, okay, to amend the motion of January 6, 2026 of the resignation of Jamie Vanoy to include her position as gifted education teacher at Wirt County Schools and extracurricular position of PBIS team leader at Wirt County Primary Center under the same conditions as the original motion of 1/6/26. So when we get to that point, that's the motion that I will read.
Oh, Luke's the one that did that motion.
Yeah, we can't touch the motion that's there.
Okay.
I thought maybe we'd just do away with it or revise, but we have to actually, since it's been one meeting before this, if it was in the same motion, in the same meeting, we can do that. But since we're one meeting away, we have to amend it. Okay. So it's basically saying what's there, except for the word amend is in there. That's what Robert's Rules of Order say that we have to do for that. So, yes, sir.
Yeah. So you said that where did you look that up at?
I did on Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay.
Yes. Now we used the small boards. I mean, if you think something different, I'm open to it.
You said you looked it up. I'm curious, like. Where
Yeah, under Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay.
To see how we would change or add to a motion that has already been accepted, and the proper way is to amend it. So that's what. And Sherry has that. I give that to Sherry beforehand, so it'll come out in the minutes the way we want it. Okay. But if you know something different, I'm not. Okay.
I was just curious.
Okay.
In case I could look something up later.
Okay. No, I went in. Actually, I did I did it verbally, and then it give me all the stuff, and then where it citationed it, then I went into Robert's Rules of Order and actually read it, because sometimes that AI stuff will not give you the right. So I actually took what it said and then looked into the motion. So anyway, that's how that motion will be. Okay.
This will have 2 positions. Jane first came out.
Just her teaching.
So
yeah.
that was an oversight on my part. In her letter, it included the other 2 extra duty positions that she has filled, but when we brought it before the board, we only had her teaching position.
Yes.
So,
this will clean it up. And then number 3 has the authorized position of interventionist extracurricular assignment at Wirt County Primary Center. Okay, so that's the new ones from what were on the agenda that you received. Any questions? Did I miss anything? Any questions? Here none, we have a motion to approve the agenda for the January 20th, 2026 Wirt County Board meeting as presented. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we're down to winter benchmarks data. Ms. Danielle Taylor. Mr. McCowan.
So I think the middle school and the primary center have given their winter benchmarks, and first up out of the gate is Mrs. Taylor with the primary center's winter benchmarks, and the middle school will be at a board meeting later on down the calendar. So happy to have Mrs. Taylor with us, and she's going to share winter benchmark data with us.
Good evening. So we're going to start off this evening by talking about our math data. At the beginning of the year, we had 18% in green, which is on grade level. We had 61% in yellow, which is one grade level behind, and we had 21% in red. We just have taken our math winter benchmarks, and we have now 41% of our students in green. We have 49% of our students in yellow and 10% of our students in red. So you can see like we are moving right along. Keep in mind this is mid-year data, so we still have half of the year left to teach. So this looks phenomenal for this part of the school year. A comparison of the last 5 years for our mid-of-the-year data. You can see that 41% puts us just about where we've been almost every year except from one. 49% kids in yellow, there again is very comparable to the last 5 years, and 10% in red, also comparable to the last 5 years. Oh, I went the wrong direction, I apologize. Math, the domain of numbers and operations, we started off the year in 20% in green. We now have 46% of our students in green. 61% were in yellow, and now we have 47%, and we've moved from 19% to 7% in red. In the domain of algebra and algebraic thinking, we have moved from 22% in green to 50%, 62% in yellow to 41%, and 16% in red to 9%. In the domain of measurements and data, we have increased from 27% to 41% in green, 53% to 44% in yellow, and 14% to 20 to 14% in red. And geometry, we have increased from 23% to 42% in green. Our yellow has went from 53% to 45%, and our red has went from 24% to 13%. Here's a chart that shows our amount of growth broken down by grade level. Kindergarten is so wonderful. Look at those little kids. They start off not knowing much of anything, and boy, they just really grow, and so they have such great growth in kindergarten, but 46% growth in kindergarten. First grade has shown 31% growth, second grade 20, third grade 22, and fourth grade is at 4% growth. We have 3 goals in our strategic plan for math. The first goal was 65% of our students will make typical growth. Right now we're at 23%. There's a red check mark beside the next 2 goals because we have already met those goals only being at mid-year. We have doubled in the number of students at or above grade level. So our goal was 36%. We are already at 41%. So we've already surpassed goal number 2. Goal number 3 was to decrease the number of students 2 or more grade levels by 50%, the kids who are in red. The goal was 10.5%, and we are currently at 10%. So we have surpassed that goal as well at the mid-year. Moving on to reading. Beginning of the year, we had 27% of our students in green. We now have 52%. We had 56 in yellow. We now have 35, and we had 17% in red, and we now have 13. As you can see here again, our reading is pretty much consistent over the last 5 years, our data for this year in reading, with 52% in green, 35 in yellow, and 13 in red. Phonological awareness, the beginning of the year, 72% of our students were in green at the beginning of the year, and now we have 83% in green, 15% in yellow, and only 2% in red. Phonics, we went from 41% in green to 63, 37% in yellow to 24, and 23% to 13 in red. High frequency words, we have moved from 34% to 72%. That's a great growth. 50% in yellow to 21%, and 16% to 7 in red. Our vocabulary, we went from 32% to 51, 49% to 34, and 19% to 15. And comprehension literature, 34% to 51, 45% to 31, and 21% to 18. Reading informative is 31% to 49% in green, 44 to 31 in yellow, and 25 to 20 in red. And our growth for the year, there again, those kindergarten kids are just learning all the things. They have 49% growth, kindergarten at 31%, second grade at 6%, third grade at 17%, and fourth grade at 10%. Our goals for reading, our 3 goals that were in our strategic plan, there again, 65% of our students will make typical growth. We're currently at 30%. We will double the number of students at or above grade level. We're at 52%. Our goal is 54%, so we're almost to our goal there. And then we will just decrease the number of students below grade level by 50%. Our goal is 9%. We're at 13%, so we need to just decrease that number by 4% more to reach our end of the year goal. Short and sweet tonight. Any questions?
Any questions, Mrs. Taylor?
Yeah, okay. So I noticed that the high-frequency words were very well. Where does that, do you know where that compares to last year?
I can look it up for you, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to know that because it
Okay.
looks like it was very good. And then
I agree, it was very nice.
additionally, if it's significantly different than last year, I'd like to know what are we doing different this year
As opposed to last year.
that's making that making those increases.
Yeah. I think this year we're a little bit more familiar with our curriculum. You know, every year teacher teaches a curriculum. They get more fluid at it and more efficient at it. So that could be a lot of the difference. Also, we're using a new program this year to help with our intervention called 95% Group. And that's a very systematic based program based on the science of reading. So that could also be playing into the values you see here with our data. We're using that. We're doing a walk-to intervention model where the students are grouped by what skill they need, and then they leave their classroom, what's called a walk-to, and they go to that interventionist who is working on that specific skill. So it's very data-driven, and the kids are getting exactly the skill that they need in reading. So that also could be contributing.
So then it's looking at the individual student and putting them in the focused area. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct, based on their assessments with data, yes.
Okay.
Our Title I teachers are excellent at taking care of that and doing those assessments with our students. And I do want to say Ashley Gano is the one who does all the data and the PowerPoint, and so I appreciate her putting that all together. She is a master at data.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other?
I ask this every time, but each time I don't go far enough, it's just kind of rotating.
Okay. Correct, yes, yes.
Are they in the grade that they're supposed to when you put it up there?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay, yeah. So, just so I know, do they go to another class like in the middle of the day or a certain day or?
It very much depends on their IEP. Like some kids with an IEP are like only with one teacher all day if they're maybe on alternate standards, where the students who are not on alternate standards but are still special ed students would go to whatever teacher, whether they're co-teach or core replacement. So it would depend on how their IEP is written.
Now, is gifted kids included?
Yes, sir.
So they're, I've had people talk to me about gifted kids, and so how do they fit into an IEP classroom, I guess?
Well, they're in whatever classroom their grade is. So if you have a fourth grade student, they're in the fourth grade classroom. But iReady differentiates their lessons based on how they do on their diagnostic. So you may be in a fourth grade classroom, but if your diagnostic is like on a sixth grade level, then you're getting sixth grade lessons through iReady.
So do they go, are they in the same classroom? Or
Mhm.
do they go to what?
Both. So a fourth grader who is gifted is in the fourth grade classroom, but then they are getting their special education minutes with Mrs. Vinoy, our gifted teacher. And I think it's maybe two 2 times a week. It's like maybe 7 times a month, so some weeks it's 2 times a week, and sometimes it's one time a week.
Yeah, thank you, because I've had a parent ask me about this, with the educated child, and I didn't really understand how it worked.
Yeah, it very much depends on how the IEP is written, but
Oh.
normally she sees those kids about 6, 7 times a month.
All driven by the IEP.
Correct, yes. And the first letter in an IEP is individualized, so everybody is different. You're welcome. Any other questions? Going
Thank
once,
you,
going
Ms. Taylor.
twice?
Appreciate it.
Sold, all right. Thank you,
Good
guys.
work as always. Thank you, Mrs. Taylor.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to brag on my teachers, because they do an outstanding job each and every day.
Yes.
We appreciate them.
Okay, we're down to B, the RIF and transfer projections, number of formula. And if you follow the paper and the news at all, this is a big issue within our state at the moment, okay, as far as counties getting into tremendous, I don't want to use the word trouble, but I don't know what other word to use, because of not paying attention to their over the formula. And it is, it's a big thing out there right now. So we had asked for Mr. McCown and Mrs. Cummins to brief us where we're at and what we think we're going to do. So with
So
that,
I'll just
open up
generally
to whoever.
say a couple words and then kick it to Mrs. Cummings and let her elaborate. She is the one that prepared the document that is here before you, and she's went back to fiscal year 21 to show you historically where we have been at in regards to the funding formula and the number of professional and the number of service positions that we are over that. So if you would first turn to the second page of the handout that I gave you, Mrs. Cummings has prepared just a rundown of all of our positions that we have currently this year in 25-26. And if you will look through there, she has went down professional personnel, and we've got state aid eligible 88.95. We have the communities in school grant that has 2. We have federal grants, whether it be Title I, Special Ed, or Project Aware. All of those federal grants total 8.55. And then we have other positions paid by the county that are professional, including the treasurer, the director of support services by 0.5, and then our child nutrition director and coordinator, that comes to 2.83. And then we have other 0.67. We get to 103 professional positions. And then going down to service personnel, we have a total of 71.66, and then she has summed those. We have one unfilled speech vacancy that we still have posted, so she's added that down there to the 170 and comes up with 171 positions currently. And then if you will turn back to the front page, we've got, if you look at the second column from the right, that is currently, as of June 30, 2026, how many professional and how many service we would be over. And then finally, the total column on the far right is if we do nothing by end of fiscal year, June 30, 2027, what we would be over the formula if we do not do anything in subsequent RIF and transfer seasons. So Karen, would you care to chime in and elaborate and then answer any specific questions that the board might have?
All right. First off, I just want to tell Mr. Metz, appreciate you bringing this as a board agenda item, just not really an item, but an information, because personnel is very important to have an understanding and keep that understanding ongoing. 85% of your budget is driven by personnel. So if one thing can get away from you, it's personnel. So the form that's in front of you right now, that actually came from the State Department of Ed. So everything in black ink from year 21 up through 25 was provided by the State Department of Education. And of course, as Mr. Metz has already alluded, they are doing lots of financial analysis right now because they have lots of counties in trouble. From this form, what's highlighted in yellow and red ink is what I went in and actually projected and put in for this year as well as for FY27 as to where we're going to be. So for FY26, the year that we're in, so what this is, this takes how many we actually have employed as of October the 1 of 25 and looks at how many we were actually allowed to be funded for this year. So on professional personnel, 3.91 is how many we're over just the year that we're in. You add in the 2.83, that's personnel that are locally funded. We're at a total of 6.74 in professional staff being over for FY26. Likewise, on service personnel, we are actually funded for 60.7 positions for this year. Once we get all of our aides and everybody settled, as of October 1, we had 67.265 personnel employed, making an overage of around 6.5 positions. So in total, between the professional and the service personnel staff overages, we're at 13.3 over. For FY27, if you look to the right of that, that number's big. I wanted it to be big because I need attention on this because we have a very important large grant that's leaving us. And as of right now, we've not done any action by board to do anything with those positions. So should we choose to keep where we are right now, this is what we're going to look at. That project is project aware and it funds 3.6 positions. So for FY27, the number allowed is 82.89. The number that we're going to have going into FY27 is actually 92.55 positions. That's because we have one speech position that's unfilled. So we still have to account for that. So we can't forget that that position's out there. So I've added that on because for state funding purposes, they don't count that in their numbers. For us going forward, that position's still there. We've not abolished it by any means. It's still being posted out there regularly. So we have to account for that, plus the 2.6 professional staff that's in that Project Aware grant. So that makes us at 9.66 over. Add the 2.8 that's already locally funded, we're now at 12 and a half positions. Okay? On our service personnel, we are allowed 59.89. We currently have 68.265. And that's because I added in the one position that's funded right now through Project Aware, where we currently have 67, but if we don't do anything with that Project Aware position, that's going to put us at the 68.265 for an overage of 8.3. So you add your professional, your service together, we're now at 20.8 positions. Our enrollment from last year, we were at 862 head count. This year at October 1, for which these numbers are being based on, we're at 831. So we're continuing to decline. Most likely we'll probably continue to decline next year based upon the other options that are available for folks to choose. So this is where we are.
Do we, is it okay if we're able to carry the funding of it, or do we have to strictly stay with their numbers?
No. As long as and this year is the first year, whenever I do the budget this year, for however many people we choose to have and to carry, if we are not at zero over here being over, I have to provide an explanation as to how we're going to fund those positions. So as of right now, it's like working a jigsaw puzzle. I've got all these notes of where I can take positions from. For example, I'm able to, first off, come up with about 7.3 different places I can get positions for personnel, 7.3 positions. I'm going to be able to get one aid job out of Medicaid. Medicaid's shrinking. We used to be able to fund for 2 aides out of there, so there's one. In our Step 7B, with House Bill, I believe it's 206, gave us block grant is what they're called now, that funding, to where its purpose is for technology, but we can use it for other items. We've generally have held it to be only for devices and for things that you can hold. We've never really used it for personnel, so possibly exploring that for next year.
How many is there, Karen?
2.
2, okay.
Yeah, 2 service. Food service would take the 1.3 that's locally funded. That's generally within their food service program, so that's usually a given from each year. In Step 7, I'll be able to get two aides and 1 professional position within the Step 7 funding. So that would take care of 5 service overages and about 2.3 on professional.
So we got terrific people then, correct? If that still stays the same.
Well, I mean, we do have a reserve and fund balance. So as long as we have a plan of addressing this, we're definitely going to have to use some of our fund balance carryover in order to make it work, because it's not going to work on the budget that's coming. So if we have a plan going forward and not just simply ignoring this, then we're okay. But if we're going to go into this blind, I'm telling you, we can't keep it up. So,
Will be just like,
I mean,
Yeah.
you can
So-
look at the numbers going across.
Yeah, we have sometimes been a little bit over what the funding formula was on service and for professional, but we could not possibly sustain being 20 over on
Right.
both of them.
Karen, how many ghost students will we pick up
Ghosts
on 831?
on the
you know?
831, I have that number.
I like that term.
Let me look.
And I'm assuming your projections that you're giving us are based upon those ghost students being in there?
Yes, the number allowed over here
No, I don't
are
need to
based on
know.
that.
As
But
long
if,
as your computations included those.
yeah, the computation does include the ghost students in there.
Okay.
But I can tell you how many they gave us here.
And that's all they'll change.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's one, I believe it was a delegate that was talking about the counties getting under 1,400, getting more money than other counties. I'm just like, please don't cut it. But, you know, he wasn't happy about that. So I don't know what this legislative session is going to hold. Here we go. So they gave us 237 students this year. Last year, they'd given us 234.
Okay. But that's figured into where we're at, so.
Yeah, the number allowed is based on
Okay.
adjusted enrollment. So, I mean, so we have a principals meeting, we've held 2 principal meetings already. We have another one coming up. I mean, things that they look at are ratios. I mean, for every 12 students in grades 1 through 3 now, that was a new legislation. After 12, you have to have an aide in the classroom. You know, grades 1, 2, and 3, you can't have more than 25 students, so that's a factor. So all of those ratios and things come into play as personnel decisions are being made. So, but this just kind of gives you an idea where we are. And then within the next month or so, Mr. McCown will be coming back to you.
So Karen, taking the 1 out of Medicaid, 2 out of 7B, and 3 out of Step 7, you're comfortable with that?
Well, we still need to look. I mean, that only gives you 7.3 positions, and we're at 20. So, I mean, we could
But
carry
that
it.
still leaves, even if we did that, that's, what, 3, 4, 5, 6? Yeah.
I mean, if you're comfortable with using our carryover, we could carry that. But it's better to take things in little bites as you go along, because if we don't, you're gonna have to take a big hit eventually
Yeah.
to trim the workforce. There's no question.
From what you said a couple months ago, it looked to me like our expenses were increasing and our income was not at the same rate.
Whenever we ended the year for FY '25, we ended the year with 400,000 to the good for that given year's revenues minus expenditures. So we had 400,000 to add to our existing carryover. So our unreserved carryover that we're looking at is around 3.4 million.
But previously, we had more to carry over. Is that correct? So that the carryover is getting smaller?
Well, I think for several years prior to this, there was COVID funding that was added into the mix too, which is gone, which kind of might, and you correct me if you disagree, but I think you can't compare the COVID years to a typical year with that funding, because that added a whole lot more money into the mix that's normally not there in a regular fiscal year.
But that's where counties are getting in trouble.
That's where
is
lots
that
of counties got in
because
trouble.
They hired, and we hired too, but we hired those aides out of that COVID money, but then the bill come along to put those people in.
Correct.
So we didn't have to get rid of them. We didn't hire extra people, we just carried those people forward,
Yes.
which was real good thinking.
But
But that's where people are getting in trouble, you know, that they're not getting rid of people that they shouldn't say maybe that way, getting rid of, but they haven't pared down as their money went down, and we need to do that.
Yeah, lots of counties, they hired a lot of personnel out of those ESSER funds, and unfortunately, they did not make provisions once the funding ended. Now, when our funding ended, I think we ended up shifting one person over, and it was as a result of need. We're not unlike almost all the other counties in the state. Special education is very expensive and is driving a lot of the costs that we're seeing based upon what the requirements are and the regulations that we have to provide services to those students. And that was the case with our ESSER position that we had. So we had to bring that special education teacher back in to the county funded.
So from last year to this year, we had an increase in spending, is that correct?
Yeah, we did, just simply because,
And was our increase in revenue on pace with the increase in spending?
I'd have to do that calculation to show.
Because I thought it was not, which means that then the lines are gonna eventually cross.
Eventually, they are going to cross.
And then we would have to.
And, yeah, because insurance alone is going up. I mean, last year it was double digits, 14% increase in employer share. Just for a very basic 0 years of experience service personnel, like aide coming in, that position, I have to allow for at least $50,000. Simply because family insurance is almost $20,000 that the board has to pay out for it. So definitely costs are rising. There's no question about that. Now, if we don't do something with this, we will definitely have to make serious looks at this for next year if we don't do anything this spring. But Project Aware alone is $475,000 grant, and it funds 3.6 positions. Now, 0.6 of that is for a psychologist position. So when we've never had a psychologist before. When it came on board and we employed the person, we had Project Aware that picked up a portion, and then the other portion was provided through a grant through Marshall University. Well, that part has gone away, so now that's why it's 2.6. So 0.6 is still being funded with Project Aware, so that's going to come over to the county. But we still have 2 positions there along with 1 service. So we need to start looking. And
And when those grants, when we employed those positions, it was with the understanding that it was grant money.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
that when that grant money went away, those positions would go away. Now, that's easy to say 2 years back when we hired those people, but now today it's come real. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to have to do something with those positions, or we will. The trouble is, and you guys know this, is that it's not like if I run a business and I, cross that line to where I'm dipping out my profits, I can just go back there and say, we're going to miss you, but we have to do this now, because we can't do it in December or in September when we see that we have a problem. We've got to project far enough ahead to see that this is going to be a problem. We need to make sure the boat
Right.
is right
Yeah,
now.
to realign the workforce right now, we're in that window of when you have to hold your hearings and when you have to take those personnel actions in order to get yourself where you need to be for next year. You can't look back and wish you'd done it because you're not going to be able to fix it. So we're in the window now.
People will look and say, well, you're carrying a $4 million surplus.
Absolutely.
Okay, why can't you keep these people?
We can.
Well,
We can, but
For a very
it's-
finite
Oh,
period
we're-
of time.
All we're doing is kicking the can down the road for a very short period of time.
Correct. So do we have to make any cuts? No. Will you next year? Oh, yeah, you're going to have to
Yeah.
start cutting, because it doesn't take long to eat away at 3.4 million when you've increased this much.
So, Mr. McCown, do you remember the dates or statutory dates?
I believe that it's on or before March the 1st.
Okay.
So that will be board meetings next month.
And the other thing about March 1 is that's also whenever, if anyone's thinking about retiring, they could give us their announcement and the board take action by March 1. And then the state provides for teachers anyway, and we match it for service personnel, a $500 bonus if they would tell us that by March 1 that they're going to retire at the end of the year, June 30. And that helps tremendously in these staffing decisions that we have to make. So that's another item that happens on March 1.
Also, Karen, so
Yes.
when I'm looking at the sheet that you gave us, the first line is allowed under state for professional, allowed under state funding. And then the second line is, actually employed with state funding. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So how can the state pay for more than
They're not.
They're not. That's how many we have
not.
employed that meet the criteria of being a position that's eligible to be funded. So we have 92.55 positions for which if we had enough enrollment, they could all have been funded. But unfortunately, based on our enrollment, the state will only allow 82.89 of those positions to be funded. Because not all of our positions that we have meet the criteria for which the state will allow to even be considered for funding.
Okay, so, like, for fiscal year '25, the state
Yes.
allowed 87.37,
Correct, to be funded.
but then
We employed 89.5 personnel that met the definition of being eligible to be funded.
So,
We were 2 over.
okay. So that 2 over then came from county funding,
Exactly.
Yeah, or,
or,
yeah.
Or we
Grants.
use, like
Or
what I just laid out is some of the places that I'm going to go to look for to actually pay for personnel.
Yeah, there's not,
So
there's
what's-
not anything inherently wrong with being over formula.
No, there
Okay,
isn't.
You really can't run a school system within formula. Where it gets wrong is when you no longer have the funds
Mm-hmm.
to pay that overage. We've always been lucky because our levy doesn't pay salary, but it pays, for example, technology. So we're able to use that 7B to pay for a person because we're using the levy money to pay for technology. So we've always stayed within our budget, but there comes a point
we're like, right, so.
you tip, yeah.
So what I'm curious is if like, I'm looking at for 25, what's the difference between where the money comes for that 2.13 versus where the money comes for that 2.83? Are those different pots of money?
Not necessarily. It's both, once you're over formula, it's up to the county then to decide where are you going to pay for this from.
Because the 2.83 says local funds.
Yeah.
So then,
And that meets the definition.
Okay.
Whenever we prepare that certified list on October 1, they have positions that automatically they say, that they look at me and they say, oh no, we're not funding any treasurer positions, so you have to locally fund my position.
right.
So that's like I'm one of your 2.83 for locally funded positions.
So if the line above that, the 2.13,
Yes.
is that, because that's not included in the 2.83, which says local fund, where do those funds come for the 2.13?
The 2.13 and the 2.83, once you're over, that's what I'm going to have to submit to the,
So that's
to the
also
state.
local, so that's also.
That's what they're
local funded?
saying. Yeah, so that's,
Because that's also local funded then.
because look because look, they total those together and that equals 4.96. Look to the left.
Right.
Total number of professionals funded by the county board.
Yeah, 4.96.
There's
So-
just some of them, there's a pocket of them that the state would pay for.
The state
And there's
would
a
pay
pocket
for, but
the
they're not.
state,
Right, exactly, because
Because our enrollment isn't there.
the enrollment isn't there to allow it. So whether we're on target or even below target, because if you look at 630 of 24, look up there. I love that one. Look at that, 1.27 under. I think there was a tweak in the formula that year. They allowed more ghost students.
Okay.
So therefore, we were actually under the number that we were allowed, but they didn't penalize anybody for being under. So we actually got additional monies in there for that year. And you'll see as they carry it down, well, we were under by 1.27 on professional. We still have that local group that we fund, the 2.83, so they netted them together. So we really only carried 1.5 positions that year on professional.
But there are some positions, no matter what your enrollment was, that the funding formula is not going to fund.
Correct.
Karen's position, which
Yeah.
is, again, bizarre. You must have a treasurer, one of the most important people in your system, but no matter what, the state will not pay for it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is, and they don't fund for like a director of transportation,
They don't fund the superintendent.
They fund actually 200 days
Right.
of a superintendent's contract, and that's something else to point out. On the professional side, no extended contracts are considered, no indexes that are given are considered. So this is just the base 200-day. So for Mr. McCown's position, he is a state aid eligible position, the superintendent is. but it will only fund for 200 days of that. So the county has to be able to provide for the other 61 days.
So then in this formula, does that additional days that he's employed reflect a partial, like a fraction of a number on number employed?
It does not on professional.
So so where would that be reflected at then? Because he's not the only employee that we have that we fund for more days than the
No.
state allows, right?
No,
We've
no,
got
he's not.
Maybe half a dozen?
Yeah, I mean.
At least.
We do.
Okay, and that's not reflected in these numbers,
No,
but it's
sir.
reflected in the actual
No.
budget?
On the service side, the state, you'll see that, let me see. On the first sheet that Mr. McCown went over, where we actually discussed, you'll see on the service down there that I gave it to you in two different formats, head count and then also an FTE count. That's full-time adjusted, and that's because the state aid funding formula provides for those extended contracts. So we actually, head count-wise, on service personnel, have 62.6 people employed. Once you look at their extended contracts, so that's head count, body count. So now you actually look at their physical contracts that they hold. So a 261-day person is actually 1.3. So it's like employing one and then a third of another. So once we adjust all of those contracts out, our 62 now becomes 67 people. Does that make sense? So on the funding formula for service only, they will actually fund for the FTE of the actual contract, but not on professional.
And Darren, with, say, why don't we just drop below and stay below? Then if you drop below, what you're supposed to have as far as actual instructional people, you actually get penalized more than what it is to be below. They put a penalty in there that you're below in instructional. And it's actually more than if you hire a person. It's a crazy way to do business.
It is.
I don't, so a question I have is how do you come up with how many you have to rent? That's somewhere we gotta go, but that's
Yeah.
something I need to know too.
All depends on what
Yeah.
Mr. McCown will bring to us that he sees that we can do without hurting, our academic program and how much money we have. And, that's a hard,
It's a hard thing to do, I understand.
yeah,
But
it
we're
turns
saying
into
here
the
we
will of the
have to
board,
do it.
basically.
Well, I think we look at the grant funding that's going away. As Mr. Metz said, the folks that bid on those jobs knew that they were contingent on that grant funding. So I think that's going to be where we start. And then I think we meet with the principals and we see what else is feasible to cut. But I think, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I think we're not going to cut 20 people. But I think we've got to bring some decisions to the board to look at this, because if at the end of next year it's 20, as our enrollment goes down, at the end of the next subsequent year, it's going to be higher, and it's just going to keep getting.
The elephant's going to eat us.
Yeah, the elephant is going to eat us. So I don't have a set number of what I'm going to bring to you, but within the next two board meetings that will come before you. And it's never easy to riff a position and do that, and it's a very difficult decision for the board. But I think if we don't make some hard decisions and we start doing that now, it's only going to get exponentially worse as years go down and years tick away. So it's never easy, but I appreciate Mrs. Cummings drawing up the numbers and showing you where we're at fiscally with that. And as Mr. Metz said, coming into this is a timely issue. It's in the papers with counties being 140 some. Suddenly and surprisingly, 140 positions over the formula, and nobody knew about it. We want to be transparent with the board, transparent with the public. This is where we're at fiscally, And this is why we're going to be making some of the subsequent decisions that we make.
They're over more than we employ.
Is it,
And guess what? The superintendent lost her job.
Yep.
And
The treasurer lost her
The
job.
treasurer lost her job. And under the new bill, the board president loses their position. If the new bill goes through, which it will.
is it possible that you could tell me when those two lines are going to cross on the, assuming trends stay the same, where our increase in spending is going to cross that point?
Sure, I mean, as the budget numbers still come in, because we just now have gotten the preliminary numbers, but we don't have them all yet, we'll be able to have a pretty good idea whenever we get to budget season.
Because that might set a time frame on how quickly all this has to be done without getting even more serious consequences.
Well, the time frame is March.
No, that's, no, I'm talking about the, our increase in spending crosses our decrease in income. I'd like to know when those cross.
The big bite that we can take is personnel. 80, what did you say?
It's around 85%.
85% is our personnel, which has to, that bite has to be taken by April, you might as well say, in order to get there. Now, Ms. Sherlock, I agree with what you're saying, that there's other things that we could do, you know.
It would give us, to know when those lines cross,
Yeah.
it would know the time frame.
Well, that was my second, once we got past this. Any other questions on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, would it be a possible course of action if, when we get to having to do RIFs, if we could reduce the extended contracts on some employees to prevent RIFs on as many employees?
The answer, you want me to answer that? The answer to that is yes, but you have to, you can increase the contract of a person through just board action. Tonight, we could make Mrs. Cowan back there, give her a 260 contract, okay? We can increase, but in order to decrease that person's contract, we have to actually RIF that person and then rebid that job with the lower contract. We just can't say, you're not allowed to just say, you're 240 now, we're gonna move you to 200. We actually have to RIF them and bid the job back out. That's a 200 job. And they might give it back or they might not, because then it falls into that whole who's ever in line. Am I right on that, Karen?
You're correct.
Yeah. So, yes, the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, so it might be a possible course of action to prevent losing as many people, which, like you said, then there's a chance that some people would lose those positions, but we could keep more positions, possibly.
Possible.
If we're making some of those choices, I'd like to see that as something for us to consider, so we can keep as many of our people as possible.
Yeah, there's, I'm trying to think back to if we ever cut contracts on people once we give them that contract.
I don't
think so.
remember us doing that.
Because it gets so,
Yeah, usually somebody's, you cut somebody
yeah,
away.
it gets
that's
so
something.
blurry whether,
It'd be contentious either way.
Yeah.
But once we start talking about actually reducing the workforce, that's also going to be very contentious.
yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no fun. But Karen, I appreciate you doing this, Mr. Town, appreciate it. I think that we just need to be as transparent as we can. And, you know, especially the board, you know, I say this, I have full trust in Mr. McCowan and Karen to do what we need to do to stay viable. So we'll see what plans come up. The second thing, it seems like a lot of these counties that are getting hit with this, okay, finance stuff, is because they didn't have a clue what was going on. Now, I think you guys, anytime that you have a question, Karen will answer that, and Mr. McCown. But Karen, I don't want to give you more work, but it might be,
Okay.
okay? What is something that once a month that we could have that would show us where we're at compared to where our funds are, to where so we can see if we're healthy or not? Is there such a thing?
Oh, absolutely. We can do a monthly financial report. We have one that comes off of Zoom. And you probably know what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a document that we can provide for that. That's no problem.
Would you guys find that useful if you can look at that and say, you know, so we're not, because what I hear from board members in other counties is that we didn't know that we were in trouble. Now, I have faith that Mr. McCown let us know we're in trouble, and Karen let us know we're in trouble. But at the same time, I'd like to be able to say, well, I saw those figures myself, okay, and yeah, you know, this doesn't look too good, or, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Can we do that?
Yes, absolutely.
And then that way, if I have it in front of me, then I can ask you a question, Karen, what's this mean, or John, what's this mean? Yeah. Because I know, if you've not been in the business, I mean, it's tough to understand it, you know. It's not, it's crazy the way it's done. So. Okay. Any other questions or requests? I just don't want to go before the state board, state superintendent and say, well, I knew it, I just didn't care, okay? I'd rather say that than say, I didn't know, okay? You know, that's why people elected us, yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
As always, you make it easier to understand, and we appreciate that.
Okay, welcome.
But I have a feeling there's a couple of superintendents and finance directors wish that they had been a little bit more transparent with the board and,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, we have no delegations tonight, so we're down to approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the January 6th, 2026 regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Any corrections, comments, concerns? Here none, we'll have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 6th, 2026 regular meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, need a motion to approve the payment of the invoices in the amount of $322,497.81.
So moved.
Mr. McKellar.
Okay, for your consideration and approval this evening, we have 4 runs of expenditures. The first, on 1/2/2026, totals $1,854.94. Noteworthy in this, it is primarily PEIA retiree billings. The next run, on 1/7/2026, totals $48,765.89. This is primarily Gordon Foods. The next run on 1/13/2026 totals $34,587.39. Noteworthy on this run, we have Mon Power for the Primary Center Middle School and Dental Vision billings. And then finally, on 1/14/2026, this run totals $237,289.59. Noteworthy on this, a big chunk of that is Matheny Motors for $153,046 for the new bus. And we have Southern Educational Services in the amount of $24,124.62 for math services. All of these runs of expenditures total $322,497.81.
Any questions on the invoices? Again, this is something we do that not all boards do. Not all boards get, they'll get total on invoices, but they don't say, so we're headed all over that. Any questions on the invoices? Here none, we have a we have a motion to pay invoices amount $322,497.81. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. I need a motion to approve budget supplements.
So moved.
The amount of
sorry.
$177,140.98. Move that.
So moved.
Mr. McKay.
Okay, so we've got some supplements coming in. The first in the amount of $29,916. This is Tools for Schools grant. And for iPads, the next, excuse me, in the amount of $965. This is a WVDE grant for middle school writing training. Then the next in the amount of $38,061.98. This is Gear Up grant for post-secondary activities. And then finally, in the amount of $108,198, this is vocational funding, state and federal. These supplements total $177,140.98.
Any questions on budget supplements? I put my pad on top of it. Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve budget supplements in the amount of $177,140.98. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, we need a motion to approve budget transfers in the amount of $222,637.31. So moved. Mr. McCallum.
Okay, 3 budget transfers for your consideration. The first in the amount of $184,582.04. This is transfer from Project Aware Services, Supplies, and Staff Development. Next, in the amount of $10,035.27. This is transfer from State Vocational Funding for software and student testing. And then finally, in the amount of $28,020, transfer Medicaid for special ed services and bus aids. These 3 transfers total $222,637.31.
Any questions on budget transfers? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve budget transfers in the amount of $222,637.31. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, no policies this evening, so we're down to personnel matters. First one is need a motion for the resignation, to accept the resignation of Shawnee Hill, volleyball head coach, Wirt County Middle School, effective January 12th, 2026.
So moved.
Mr. McCallum?
Nothing to add. I except to thank her for her years of coaching for us. Appreciate the work that she did, but her letter is in your packet.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll have a motion to accept the resignation of Shawnee Hill, volleyball head coach, Wirt County Middle School, effective January 12th, 2026. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Under employment, need a motion to approve the employment of Janet Moore, substitute aide for 25-26 school year, effective upon completion of her required paperwork.
So moved.
Mr. McCallum?
We need substitutes in all categories, aides included, so happy to bring her application to you tonight.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the employment of Janet Moore, substitute aide for 25-26 school year, effective upon completion of her required paperwork. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, now we need a motion to approve the employment of Austin Wilson, substitute bus operator for 25-26 school year, effective upon completion of required bus training, background checks, and new hire paperwork.
So moved.
Anything?
So nothing to add other than, we had a whole bunch of sub-bus operators on there, and we've had several of them fill full-time positions. So it is time to get a few more subs back on the list.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the employment of Austin Wilson as substitute bus operator for 25-26 school year. That will be effective upon completion of his required bus operator training, background check, and new hire paperwork. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, need a motion to approve the employment of, I'm going to say Sheila, I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, Cassell, a substitute bus operator, 25-26 school year, effective upon completion of her required bus operator training, background check, and new hire paperwork. McKell?
Her application is in your packet, but already an experienced truck driver, just going back to get passenger endorsement to be able to drive bus for us.
Very good. Any questions? Sherry, do you know how she pronounces that first name? Shayla. Okay. Okay, we have a motion to approve the employment of Shayla Cassell, substitute bus operator for 25-26 school year, effective upon completion of required bus operator training, background check, and new hire paperwork. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, now we need a motion to approve the employment of Jennifer McAllister, beginning teacher mentor for foreign language at Wirt County High School.
So moved.
We've had that posted for a while. I appreciate Mrs. McAllister finally bidding on this and filling that to give our foreign language teacher a mentor. So appreciate her bidding on that.
Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the employment of Jennifer McAllister, beginning teacher mentor, foreign language at Wirt County High School. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, need a motion to amend the motion of January 6, 2026 of the resignation of Jamie Vanoy to include her position as gifted education teacher for Wirt County Schools and her extracurricular position as PBIS team leader at Wirt County Primary Center under the same conditions as the original motion of 1/6/26.
So moved.
Any questions?
So I would just say, I apologize for that oversight. Her letter did specify all of that, but when we put it on the agenda, we only put her teaching position. So I apologize for that oversight.
Any questions, board? No? Okay, so we do have a motion to amend the motion of the January 6, 2026 of the resignation of Jamie Vanoy to include her position as gifted education teacher for Wirt County Schools and her extracurricular position as PBIS team leader at Wirt County High School under the same conditions as the original motion of January 6, 2026. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. That was a mouthful. Okay. Need a motion. It's a discussion. We really don't have a motion on there. Okay, because this is a discussion. There's no motion here.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, we probably should done this up, but it's
And-
okay.
Okay.
I'm going to move that down to where we get after the next one, because the next one is a motion,
Yep.
okay? Okay, need a motion to authorize the position of interventionist extracurricular assignment at Wirt County Primary Center. Commissioner McCown.
Okay, we have had this similar position with the reading position at the primary center for some time, but Mrs. Taylor has got an experienced retired teacher who would be willing to come back a couple days a week and do math intervention with our students that need it, and we have school improvement funds to pay for that. So I am asking the board to authorize this new part-time position, and it is for math intervention up to 20 hours per week at Wirt County Primary Center.
Questions? I'm ashamed to say this, I did not look at the posting. Posting says 20 hours a week.
It says up to 20 hours per week as needed at $30 per hour.
Good enough. Any other questions? Here none, we have a motion to authorize the position of interventionist extracurricular assignment, Wirt County Primary Center. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, now, we don't need a motion. We can just discuss that. If the board remembers last time Kenna was here and we talked about the vision, okay, and whether we could do that for our employees. And I know that Mr. McCown and Mrs. Cummins looked into that, and there was a memo from Mrs. Cummins, I think, right? Within your packet, okay? So, anybody who wants to start?
Well, I'll just say, I appreciate Kenneth thinking of our teachers with this. I think her heart was totally in the right place. If she's got to pay for the glasses in batches of 200, and then we don't have 200 students, her heart was going to our staff, would we be able to utilize that? But Mrs. Cummings did look into this, and I think has found that this would be a taxable fringe benefit for our folks if we were to provide that. And I think when Kenna and Nurse Kelly sent this out, it was just like, who would take advantage of a free eye exam, free glasses? And I think a lot of folks said yes. But if you said, hey, this is going to be a taxable fringe benefit, do you want to take on that tax liability for that? I don't know that nearly as many people would have been interested. So that's the Reader's Digest condensed version. Karen, anything you would like to elaborate on?
The grant itself, as I understand it, is not going to run through the Board of Education.
Right.
So whenever we're asked to provide this to the employees, the relationship changes. It's now employer and employee. We already offer a dental vision plan that is documented. It's within IRS guidelines, and we provide that benefit already. So if we provide something outside of this plan, it's going to be a taxable benefit to the employees because we're providing it as the employer. Had they provided it, it's different. These people are not their employees. Currently, I ran the numbers for 25 year. We paid out $14,618 in vision benefits to our employees. Some of our benefits for vision, we provide eye exams are covered. On prescription glasses, we have $175 that we pay for a set of frames and like single lenses. So if you just went base,
It's kind of already there.
we kind of already provide that. It's just a matter of whether or not they go and take advantage of it.
Yeah, it was a good thought. You know, originally it was a good, if the grant would have paid for it, it'd have been a really neat thing for our people. But I got to also thinking about this, Karen, if this wouldn't be considered a bonus, and you can't do the bonuses, so.
Yeah, I did reach out to the State Department of Education. They concurred with me that it would be a taxable benefit. However, as you know, they are kind of swamped right now, and legal especially. But I question whether or not we would even be allowed on the allowability part, because usually unless it's expressly permitted in code, you're not allowed to do it. Like uniforms, it's there. But I don't know necessarily that this would be. So if you're still interested in it, I think we'll have to get a legal interpretation on the allowability of it. Definitely, if we did, it will be a taxable benefit. But if you wish, we can pursue it further. I asked the State Department, but I haven't gotten a response back to the allowability part. But if we wish to push it further, I can ask Mr. McCown to spend some dollars researching that with Bowles Rice. So.
Well,
Can we do any more discussion here, or is this just?
No, just go ahead.
No, I don't have any discussion, but I'm just saying, is this something we vote on, or do we?
No,
This just
not unless
discussion?
if we discuss and we ask Mr. McCown then to bring it back on another agenda with a price tag on it, of what it costs after the legal interpretation, then we would vote on. But right now, we're just having a discussion. It's on the agenda, so we're allowed to discuss it.
So, and I would say this too, while Kenna had several people that were interested in that initially, Okay, I think we would need to see, if you're going to have to pay taxes on this, who's still interested in it, and I doubt that very many people would be. Because you hear, who doesn't want a free eye exam and a free pair of glasses? Lots of people signed up for that, but if they knew that there was going to be a tax liability associated with it, I don't think nearly as many people would have been interested.
Yeah,
Well,
especially
taking that-
when I already have the vision.
Correct.
Insurance that I can go and
It's,
take
it's
advantage
basically
of.
free also, correct? Or do they
Free
pay
to the
into it?
employee up to the dollar amounts that we provide, yes.
So you're taking that into consideration, it would almost, you would actually be paying more.
Yeah. It was a good thought,
Right, I was just,
but it doesn't sound like it's something that we wish that we, we're just talking about budgets and stuff here, so I'm not sure it's something
Right.
that we want to get into.
It's a little bit more than meets the eye.
And a little bit more, and that's why we have these people, okay, to do that. Any other questions? There are no motion here, we're just discussing, but if we're done discussing, I'll move on. Okay, we have no volunteers or chaperones, so we're down to information, and we're under board concerns, and we'll start with Mr. Stewart. Mr. what? Luke?
none at this time, sir.
Cheryl?
Yeah, just follow up from the numbers with the primary school. If there's something different that we are doing that is increasing the success, I'd like to know what that, change is, because it's something we need to continue.
Mr. Metz?
Yes.
I do have one thing. My contract is set to expire on June 30 of this year, and in code, when years where the superintendent's contract is ending, we have to do something with that, and I'm to bring that back to you, my evaluation and contract negotiation order before March the 1st. So if it suits the board, I can bring that back at one of the February board meetings.
Yeah. So that, Mr. Pound, maybe if you can get Sherry to send us out, because it'll be new for Luke, that paperwork
Yep.
we'll be looking at. We did your goals already. This is the statutory ones where it meets their needs or exceeds. If you send that out to us and
Yep.
everybody can look at it, and then they can make their marks and everything, and then when we come in, we'll have that part of it done. And
Yep, I can do that.
and then that and the contract are done in executive session. So we can either do the contract that night or bring it back, but go ahead and put it on the agenda. Make
Okay.
those two separate things. Okay, superintendent's evaluation 1 and superintendent's contract 2.
Can do.
That way, if there's some reason that we wish to hold on the contract, we can. Okay?
Dan, I do have
Yes.
more of an announcement, but I guess that would be a concern too. To all the board members, John had sent out an email on this, that you got to have your ethics report sent in by February the 2nd. And there's a place right on your email that you send it electronically. And also, if the paper was correct, anybody's term is up this year, you ought to be signed up by January 31st.
That is correct.
So,
And just for the studio audience out there, the paper had a typo in it. Mr. Moore's term is not set to currently expire.
he's also covering 2 districts. So.
Anything else for the good? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Cummins.